Today I am building medieval marketplace in the tiny street, or in other words, a sensory nightmare in The Sims 4. Under my previous video I asked for suggestions for public spaces that I could build in The Sims for medieval inspired gameplay. And comments that I got suggested a medieval marketplace. I love this idea and I immediately had a vision. I wanted to build a marketplace that fits in a street between rows of houses or other buildings. I wanted to make a muddy street crowded with tents and wagons, and in theory people. But in The Sims, because of the limitations of the game, there are not gonna be a lot of Sims at once at the same place. On this lot, except my main market street, there are also backyards of these buildings, and I intentionally made them very green, airy and peaceful so they would contrast with a marketplace. I wanted this street to feel like you can't walk through it without rubbing against other people's shoulders. Sensory Nightmare Medieval Edition. I started not with market itself, but by placing windows and doors on my buildings. They are from Cottage Living Debug, and buildings and windows and doors are separate, which could be both pro and con. From one side, you have full control over what windows and how many of them and where to place them, but on the other hand, you need to manually place them, which takes time and brain power to make a decision. I don't have a clear idea of what these buildings actually are. Are they people's houses or taverns or inns, maybe a library or something like that? I don't need to know because they don't have interiors for me to worry about. This build altogether took me a surprisingly long time. I expected it to be much quicker and easier, but I guess it has a lot of small details. And I also tried to make tents and stalls, which is not something that we already have in the game. I'm happy that we at least have the sales table, so this place could actually be functional. Or functional, it's a strong word to use. It's somewhat functional. First of all, for the game, it's a park. And you can use it as a park. It has grills, benches, chess and card tables, and swing set for the kids. But as a marketplace, it's only half functional, because NPCs not gonna come here to sell stuff. Unfortunately, they not autonomously use the tables as the sellers. It only happens on flea market day in San Mishuno, which is a shame because it would add so much to atmosphere if Sims were actually standing there selling stuff, all talking and yelling at the same time. Your Sims, however, absolutely can use these tables to sell stuff. I left one table empty in case you need to sell some things that your Sims made or grew or found. But you can make your Sim come to any table. And if you want to buy something from this market, you would need two Sims, one of them to tend the table and another to buy goods. In terms of goods, on actual functional tables I added wood sculptures, wool, baskets, jewelry, fish, sugar and flour, candles and cross-stitch patterns. Some of them from the game and couple made from reference, and I used like cute flower patterns. For that, basically I made my Sim to cross-stitch a picture of a custom wallpaper. By the way, because of those cross stitches, a gallery labels this build as including custom content. It doesn't have any custom content in it. You can download it from the gallery and you will see those cross stitches in your game without any custom content. I always get upset when gallery does this because it means that less people will see the build. My gallery name Sophie Loon, I will put it on the screen and in description down below. It always written in description down below. I have some amount of builds on there. I've been passionate about building in The Sims for a while, and I thought that someone might use my build in their game brings me a lot of joy. And I don't know at what point of the video I am now, But let me tell you a little bit about each stall. First one I am constructing at the very end of the street. For its base I'm using an awning and debug columns from Jungle Adventure. It's not columns actually, it's more like stilts for a wooden bridge. They meant to go in the water, I think. But for me they go everywhere. I use them a lot in my builds, especially old-timey ones. I just like their texture and color and their rope details. I used them in my previous video of me building medieval house for a big family. I used them as a columns, but I'm glad that they aren't actually columns because it means that I can alt place them. Most of the stalls have very clear purpose, very clear type of item they sell. It's not one of them. It is a home goods or IKEA section of the market. On the sales table there are wood sculptures and baskets from Jungle Adventure and also moon petal flower, and around it even more stuff. I also used leaves curtains and regular curtains to make it more enclosed. Ideally I would want the roof of the stalls also be fabric, so it's like a tent. I did make some attempts to achieve that on other stalls, but I also wanted to make them all look a little bit different. Next to this IKEA stall, I put first not functional stall, again to make them all look different, and like an actual people set this all up. Maybe someone just dragged their table here and now uses it as a place to display goods they sell. This one sells fruit, veggies, and eggs, which are displayed in a basket. Maybe they bought them from their neighbor. I used island living pergola, or just a piece of fabric on a sticks. I'm not sure how it's called actually. And a picnic table as a display table. It works perfectly with different levels for baskets and actual table to put scales on. Next to a fruit vendor, I put a bigger stall with 2 sales tables in it. Here your sim can buy wool and decorative cross stitches. And I used another island living pergola as an overhang, this one from debug. But I hid metal columns with my favorite Jungle Adventure wooden ones. I said I use them a lot. There are some items in debug that are just too good to not use them constantly. I also put a mirror leaning against the wall of the building for no reason actually. There are no one who would sell clothes or hats. But the reflection in the mirror just adds something visually. Maybe this stall used to sell knitted clothes and that's why they have a mirror. Next to them, separated by a random hay storage, there is a fish stall, covered by yet another island living pergola. I used probably every item that can create this tent-like structure, and apparently island living has a lot of them. On the back of a fishing stall there are a small table with a knife and some fish on it, and a sink. I put it there just because you have to have at least one sink in the park for game to see park lot as complete. So I shoved it in here. If anyone will have a sink, it will be a fish stall. You need to have a sink because game expects you to make a bathroom in your park, but I didn't. There is no bathroom. There are only bushes that your sims can use as a bathroom scattered around backyards, but there are multiple of them, so everyone doesn't have to share the same one. Next stall that I built is a jewelry shop. It sells jewelry from Crystal Creations pack, and it finishes left side of stalls. This one is the most structured one and the most decorated one, I think. If with other ones I wanted to make them look like they could be easily took down and moved to different spot and easily put together by 1 or 2 people, the jewelry one I wanted to look more permanent, like a more permanent structure. Partially because it right at the entrance, and I wanted entrance to be nicely framed and a bit less messy than the end of the street. Next stall that I built on opposite side sells flour, sugar and spices, and I made it with the same onion and Jungle Adventure wooden beams that the very first one. Next to it, almost in front of it, another decorative tent selling bowls and vases. If you didn't notice so far, I am trying to make space feel very crowded. That's why stalls overlap slightly. Behind the stalls, there is a little games area with chess table and cards table, and also a couple of benches to sit on. Maybe it's outdoor space of a pub or something, or a tavern. I like that NPCs actually use these tables and benches, makes market look a little more lively and not like an abandoned town. By the way, leaves and letters on the table with vases meant to look like something used for packing purchases. Again, I don't know over what point in the video I'm talking, but if you were confused why I'm putting unopened letters, I just wanted it to look like some scraps of paper maybe that they use to wrap vases when they selling them. Next stall, if you can even call it that, is the most DIY one. Maybe we have a new vendor in our market and they just made this structure right in front of the well out of planks and sticks and selling their vegetables here. I had a great time assembling this one. It looks like it's actively falling on your head as you buying your pumpkins, and I love it. I had a great time in general making this whole build. Once again, big thank you for idea in the comments. This whole build is just me playing with debug, which I love to do, despite the fact that it takes a lot of time. You know what also takes a lot of time? Individually placing pumpkins and cabbages in the boxes and carrots and potatoes in a little wagon. But I chose to do that quite a lot in this build, individually raising, rotating and putting in places each veg. It looks good, so I'm going to tell myself that it was worth it. But for you, I cut out the most of footage of me placing vegetables. I don't think that's very entertaining to see. I made another vegetable stall at the very end of right side and then moved on to making a grill area. The one last disclaimer about vegetables. I put some of them on the ground as if they fall out of their boxes and baskets, but in a game mode NPCs are planting them for some reason. So you will get like a random plants on the street next to stalls. I don't even know if it's bad thing or adds to overall chaos of this place. Grill area at the front of the street is just a couple of grills and bench under a pergola. It's functional, seems go there and make food and eat it on picnic tables that in the middle of the street. I think it's very comfy and cozy corner of this market. And at the end I'm adding finishing touches like train paint, trash cans, landscaping to a backyards, making them look very peaceful, almost having like a secret garden energy. I also added a lot of bugs like dragonflies and fireflies, and also mosquitoes to trash cans. I love this detail. I saw it in a video of one of my favorite Sims YouTubers, Karen and Connie, in a video of them touring their viewers builds, and I couldn't stop thinking about how genius this is, but saying out loud that I couldn't stop thinking about mosquitoes and trash cans, it sounds a little bit weird now. Maybe I just been talking for far too long, but I think it's a good point to stop. I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed making it. Write in the comments down below what stall/tent is your favorite. Mine would be the one with vegetables in the baskets. And also, if you have any ideas of builds that you would like to see me attempt feel free to write them in the comments. You can download this build from my gallery, but you need to check the box including custom content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. I wish you very best day. Bye.